Okay, so for guitar, I do use like IK multimedia stuff for amps, generally speaking. But my favorite amp of all is the Fender Princeton 65. The reissue is fine with me too. I'm not about, I don't have to have the original, but I just love that amp. It's truly my favorite amp, and if I had an amp and actual amp to play my guitar through, that would be the one I would go for, just because I love it so much. But this guy here from Universal Audio is called the Dream 65 Reverb Amp, and is based on a Fender Deluxe 65. And so they use the vibrato channel, I believe, because on that amp there's a normal channel which doesn't have the reverb, and then there's the vibrato channel. And so that's kind of what you get. Now, you got, what you have here is when you initially get it, you only have 3 speakers, which they tell you the speakers over here, but if you register it, they'll give you 3 more speakers. And those speaker combinations come with basically they come with them, they're mic'd up, and you have to go through the descriptions to get all the mic'd up parts of it. But you got a bass and treble. This one has the tremolo. So if you see here, the white above it says speed and intensity, is just like the amp. So you get that. There is a lead, a stock sound, and then the D-Tex, which I think is like the SRV kind of sound, where it's more crunchy, more crunchy tone. All right, you can have an amp and you can store a preset. So this thing has Bluetooth. You look back here, it says right here, pair. You can pair it with Bluetooth, and then they have like other presets that people have created, different artists have created, as well as ones that are factory, that you can bring into the store, which is kind of cool. A lot of people don't talk about this, but you could have an amp here and then switch to the preset and have maybe like your lead tone on the preset, which is kind of cool. Or you can save your own preset. You can set up a very clean sounding amp here, right, on your main one, and then maybe turn up the boost or whatever you want to do, and then have this act as a boost switch. And then you can turn up the boost however you want to do and play your lead that way. So many options. And the output, so I use the output up. Typically I keep the volume really low because I don't want to get it distorted. I'm more into the clean side of the amps. Here, I'll put this down so you can see it. But it's a really great pedal. I'll tell you what I dislike about it in a second here, but it does have USB, but mind you, this USB is just to update it. And that's something I don't like. I think that USB should act as a source out to record. I think we're in an era where that could be easily done. I do like the fact that they have a mono in and a stereo, so you can plug an instrument in, like a guitar, bass, or whatever you want to plug in. And then at the same time, you have 2 outs, so you can run it out. You can bypass the cab on this one, which is kind of cool if you want to plug it into an amp maybe and just run it through an amp, so you could do that. And the power source, it does require power, which another thing is, I wish the USB would power it. I think that's kind of lame that they didn't make the USB power it. It should be able to be powered by the USB, as well as have the ability to be able to record through the USB to get a nice signal into your computer. So that being said, they don't have a headphone on here. That's another thing that frustrates me. Put a headphone jack on it. Otherwise, what I have to do is hope that I can get a headphone amp out. So that's what I end up doing. I pretty much I'm forced to use, here I'll show you. I'm pretty much forced to use the mixer face, or you can use, got it upside down there, the mixer face R8, and I plug in either both stereo here or just one and run it through here, and then it has a headphone on the other side. And I hate that and love it at the same time, because I'd rather not have to do all that just to use this. So that's why I'm kind of up in the air, like I'm just trying it out to see how I'm going to like it, because I kind of want to be able to play with something that's small, that I don't have to keep toting 2 to 3 things around just to use it. So it is what it is, but it does sound good. I cannot disrespect that. It sounds really good. And that reverb, I mean, my goodness, that reverb sounds incredible. So if you like spring reverb, the spring reverb that's in the Fender amps, typically like the 65 Deluxe particularly, particularly, that thing sounds incredible. You can get that real surfy sound, or you can dial it back and get just a nice little reverb to accompany it. For some people, that's not a big deal because they may have a bunch of reverb pedals, but if you're looking for the all-in-one, this thing, you get the tremolo, and you get the reverb in this one pedal. And there's not a lot of pedals, if any, that I know have all of it, unless you go with something like a Helix or one of those, the Line 6 Helix or HX Stomp or whatever. Those, I think those have that in there. But they sound more digital too, in my opinion. Yeah, so that is it on this one. Again, if you like it, try it out. I mean, that's the best thing you can do. But I just wanted to show you, this is what I'm trying right now to see. My goal is to use this and record directly into Ableton versus like trying to use basically a plug-in inside of it. Now the plugins are great, don't get me wrong. I use the IK Fender stuff, the IK Multimedia Fender amps collections, but I do kind of like having something that's a piece of hardware that I can dial in my settings on to play guitar. And it's kind of nice. You cannot bring anything into this like IRs and stuff, only the things that they have through the app. So that's one thing I wish they would fix too, is allow you to, allow you to purchase maybe some different cab simulation portions. And because this is modeling and not, as far as I know, it's modeling, right? So you're modeling the sound, but you're using what's already here. I've never been into the profiling and the whole modeling thing. I've always used a real amp. But so this is all kind of new to me. But as a newbie at this stuff, this is really nice and it sounds good. But again, they could have put a headphone. This is a lot. This thing is big too, by the way. It's kind of, I mean, it's not big, but it's kind of chunky in a way for a pedal. So they could have put easily a nice headphone amp on the front. I think there was probably enough room in there for them to add that, which kind of makes me not like it, because I can't just sit here and plug in and just start playing without adding a bunch of stuff. So anyway, I don't want to keep ranting about the same thing over and over and over. That's it for this video. Just wanted to introduce you to this. This is made by Universal Audio. It's called the Dream 65 Reverb Amp. Just my take on it. There's a ton of videos online that do demos and comparisons. I'm not going to do that. I'm not like that kind of guitar player. I'm still a newbie at it in my own way, and but maybe I'll show you something later if I decide that this is for me. So that's the end of this video. Yep.